This is Ignite Success. I'm your host, Snowden McFall, professional speaker, author, and trainer and coach. And with me today is Gabrielle Magid. She is the president of Stronger Than Stigma and the creator of a very innovative concept called the living room. So welcome, Gabrielle.
Thank you so much for having me.
First of all, I want to applaud you as a young entrepreneur. You started this when you were how old?
20.
20. And I started my business when I was in my 20s as well. So I'm really excited. I love to see female entrepreneurs starting out young and thriving. And you have a very interesting story about why you started Stronger Than Stigma. So can you talk about what it is and what your background is?
Sure. So basically, I was a college student in 2013 was when we started. So I was a junior
Not that
in college.
long ago.
Yeah, I had to calculate. Doing math. Yes. So basically, I looked around my college campus, which is the University of Florida, and I recognized that most of my peers were struggling with something related to mental health, and that there were fabulous resources on campus that I knew about and was, attending anxiety and depression support groups and things like that, taking advantage of what was out there for free, and yet most of my peers weren't. So to me, it was more of like a PR problem. Why didn't students know where they could go for help?
Right.
Or were they embarrassed to go out for help? And both of those things were unacceptable. The culture needed to change, and I didn't see it happening, so I thought that I needed to do something about it.
So your initial thought was you would do this for PR and visibility to get more students involved. Is that right?
So I don't know if I would call it PR necessarily. I think the situation has a PR problem,
right.
Because people are scared to reach out for
Right.
help. They fear that they might appear weak.
Right.
And our plan was to make sure that people understood that it's a strength to reach out for help.
Right.
And that, on campus in particular, there was access to free resources. It's not so much like that in the real world. It's harder to navigate, and with insurance and all that. But at the time when we started, it was really campus specific.
Right. Okay. Well, and we know, we've had several mental health professionals on the show recently. We had Michelle Pargman on, yes, and talking about employee assistance programs that people can find in their workplaces to access mental health guidance and assistance, and then we had Mental Health America. But I still think that, as you said, it is a stigma, which is unfortunate, and it shouldn't be, because it's one of the most important ways for us to stay healthy.
Right.
What advice do you have for people who might be experiencing anxiety and depression?
Don't judge yourself. I think that often we're our own worst critics.
Yes.
And we look around and we tend to compare ourselves to other people. And you can't do that, because it's your life. Nobody else cares, as much as you should about how you live your life. So, it's fascinating to me, because I think that people get nervous, like, oh, everybody else has it all figured out. I don't. I'm the weirdo. There's something wrong with me. And yet, the person over there isn't thinking about you. We're all on our own lane.
That's right.
And so, it's so important to reach out for help, and even to recognize, I'm not feeling quite like myself. And then get out of your head in the sense of judging, whether or not you should reach out for help, or you need help, or this isn't big enough of a problem. Whatever it is that's playing on feedback loop in your head, ignore it, get help.
Well, and I think that's really important, and women in particular, because this show is devoted to women, are subject to the whole comparison thing. I remember there are two quotes that have really struck me. One is Oprah Winfrey said that comparison is violence against oneself.
Yes.
And there's another quote, and I've forgotten who it's attributed to, that comparison is the thief of joy. And I think social media doesn't help.
No.
And the research that I've been doing on my book, my newest book, 7th book on women and overwhelm, is really sad when it comes to young girls, because there's the rate of suicide from young girls aged 10 to 15 has doubled and tripled over the last 5 years, and part of it is due to social media and comparison. So it's a really sad thing, and I would think millennials are also really plagued with this. Are you seeing a lot of millennials that you're working with?
Sure. We grew up online,
right?
So this is just the norm, and I think that it's fascinating now that research is coming coming out that, hey, this isolates you more, and this is contributing to increasing rates of anxiety and depression. And I don't think it's surprising, because if you think about it, if you're by yourself on a device that gives you access to comparing yourself to other people, no wonder you feel alone. And it's funny because it's the age of connectivity. So we think like, oh, we can keep in touch with people from around the globe and all facets of our lives. And it's great for that as a tool, but it's also, you can do that from the comfort of your own home. So you don't necessarily go out as much, and that social interaction is huge.
It's so important. All the research shows how critical that is, particularly for women. So let's talk about the living room, because this was a really creative thing that you just finished in the month of May in Jacksonville, Florida. Tell us about the living room.
I'm very proud of it. It was a really cool experience.
It's really cool.
So basically, we took over a storefront in downtown Jacksonville, and the theory behind it was, I could stand on a street corner and shout about mental health awareness till I'm blue in the face, and I usually do that. But the real life-changing conversations on the topic tend to happen one-on-one or in small groups amongst people that trust each other.
Right.
And then, because of the stigma, you're probably going to have them, if you're having them at all, on a couch in your living room in the privacy of your own home. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we were saying, no, not going to play that way. We're going to put if the living room is the place where these things happen, then we're going to bring the living room out into the town square.
Cool.
So we had, a central location right across from Hemming Park, and the front when you walked in was an interactive art installation to inspire conversations among strangers. Even set up with couches to, if you got inspired from something on the wall, you could sit down and have a chat about it. And then the back was a venue space, because we've always used performance as a way to bring people together. Comedy shows, concerts. I think of the 31 days, we had 28 programs.
Oh, fabulous.
Yes, so it was a nonstop roller coaster and marathon of activity.
And how many people went through that?
Nearly 1,500.
Oh, that's awesome.
Packed. It was awesome. And even like on opening night, 300 people walked through our doors in Art Walk.
Terrific. So where can people learn more about Stronger Than Stigma?
Social media. We are completely online. I shouldn't say completely. We are totally immersed in the online
world.
Online
That's
world.
the need, yes.
Yes, and that's how we started too. Was could we talk about this topic online from the comfort of our computers, where we tend to feel safer? Can we engage with people our own age that are struggling? And is this a topic people would talk about?
And then get them to connect.
Yes.
Well, thanks for the great work you're doing. I applaud it. It's so important that we all take care of ourselves, and particularly our mental health. There is no shame in anxiety and depression, and taking care of yourself and asking for help are so important.